some of his associates, I still want to strangle them.
People need to see or see that part of him that nobody else knew.
Maybe I would strangle him because, you know, some of the...
It looks like Valletta Wallace, the mother of the late rapper Notorious B.I.G, doesn't mince words. And in her past interview with The Breakfast Club, this lady sent a shocking message to the alleged culprit behind her son's untimely demise. As Valletta Wallace stated, it doesn't take to be a detective to figure out that her son's boss Diddy is the one to blame in the whole mystery, and she has some serious proof to show. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Celeb Live Channel. Well, it's been almost 3 decades since the tragic incident took one of the hip-hop legends from us, but many people still cannot accept the fact that Biggie Smalls is no longer with us. As you know, despite the extensive investigation, the real villain was never found, but it seems like Biggie's mom has something to share with the world.
There are people who are saying, oh, she knew.
In her previous talk with The Breakfast Club, Valletta Wallace shared her vision on what had happened to her son and why he's now buried 6 feet under. After connecting all the dots, this lady is now saying that none of the other Biggies, producer scene Diddy Combs exploited her son for his own benefit. Earlier in the past, the hip-hop's icon mother already shared her thoughts on the whole story in quite a controversial memoir. As she wrote, "I'm glad my son does not have to witness that the very people that he thought he could ride and be with wouldn't think twice about using his mother. I am glad that he's not here to see how they've used his image and his name." As Valletta Wallace is now saying, seeing the music mogul partying and making money on her son's name and legacy caused her terrible pain, and if she could do the justice with her own hands, she would punish Diddy for his crimes, including the exploitation and shooting of her son.
But I can speak about me. What if he was here? Maybe I would strangle him.
Valletta has always been suspecting Diddy in this crime because he was the only person who, in the end, made millions on her son's untimely demise. In her memoir, she mentioned that Biggie was too loyal to Puff to suspect any foul play. The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. You see, guys, it's not a secret that Biggie's success and fame brought him a significant amount of money when he was alive, and he was estimated to have a net worth of around $10 million at the time of his tragic demise. Now, Valletta Wallace is saying that Diddy bribed a lot of people and entities to hush the whole thing, and this is why we never got the answer, the main question behind this tragedy. And while the police do absolutely nothing, the culprit behind gunning down her son in his prime years is still running the streets of the hip-hop industry.
You don't know anything about it.
As any mother, Valletta has a strong intuition, and as she says, she has always been against the so-called friendship of her son with Diddy. As she wrote in her memoir, she never trusted the music producer and tried to convince her son to leave Bad Boy Records for his own sake. Here's what she wrote: "I believe Scene loved my son after he passed away. I used to tell Christopher all the time not to trust Scene. However, Biggie's loyalty to Puff was too strong, and we see how it all played out for the now demised rap legend." As Valletta Wallace is saying, she cannot accept the fact that Diddy keeps enjoying his opulent lifestyle when he deserves to rot in jail for his hideous crime.
Should I embrace it? I personally cannot.
In the past few decades, Valletta spent a lot of time and money to dig to the roots of this mystery that took the life of her son. And in the end, she comes back to the same answer as before. Diddy is to blame for her son's tragic demise. Biggie's mom cannot believe Diddy's audacity. He's been playing his role of a grieving friend for years, and at the same time, paying the lap to covering all the exposing traces that could tie him to this case. As Valletta said, "I have a very good idea who unalived Christopher, and I genuinely believe that the lap knows exactly who did too." After almost 3 decades of waiting for the answer, 70 years, old Valletta feels she doesn't have much time left, and she deserves her closure.
Wait for names to be called and what they did and what they did.
Her biggest dream at the moment is to see Diddy going down for eliminating her son, and fans fully support the lady in her desire to see the villain behind the bars. As one person commented, "Imagine the convos between Big and his moms behind closed doors about what Big knows and feels to his mom about everything going on." And another user added, "Diddy sold his soul. I gotta admit though, he was the best at being a snake. That's why he's always the last man standing." And it already looks like a solved mystery. The story doesn't end here, guys. There have been many more people who came forward with the same conclusions as Biggie's mom, and they openly spoke about Diddy's involvement in this crime since he was the one who insisted that Biggie should go to LLA that fateful night.
But he was easily talked out of it by Sean so that they can make an appearance at an event in LA that Saturday night a part of the posturing.
In his recent interview with The Art of Dialogue, the former Bad Boy Records president Kirk Burroughs confirmed what Valletta Wallace had been suspecting all along and revealed that Biggie stopped trusting his boss and got suspicious. However, it was too late for the rapper, and he didn't have a chance to walk away from Bad Boy Records and Diddy safely. As Kirk said, the whole LA incident was meticulously orchestrated by Diddy to make Biggie leave the label the only possible way in a plastic bag.
The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security.
This story was later confirmed by another person who was there with Biggie that fateful night. Diddy's ex-bodyguard, who has been alongside the music mogul in the toughest moments of his life, also expressed his concerns about the absence of security. Before we left Andre Harrell's house, Puff told me I didn't have to go. Now I went because I knew that somebody was going to pass away that night. Somebody was going to get shot. Well, if you don't remember it, guys, let me remind you that the tragic incident that took Biggie's life happened right in the hottest moment of the brewing feud between the West Coast and East Coast, and Biggie set his foot on enemy's land that night in LL. Now, the answer why Puffy insisted on the absence of security seems kind of logical.
I've never seen him act like this ever, because he don't act like that.
But here's one thing that makes us believe that Biggie's fatal shooting was the result of Diddy's cruel plan. According to Gene Deal, the late rapper was heavily considering leaving Bad Boy Records because he was offered a better deal. Weeks before his tragic demise, Biggie was offered a more lucrative deal with another label worth more than $60 million. As Gene Deal said, he caught a glimpse of Biggie's Bad Boy contract, and it was nothing compared to a new offer. Now, if Valletta Wallace chooses to push this case further, she has a whole bunch of witnesses to testify against the music mogul.
I don't know if I had to be in court or I had to testify or something like that.
Well, here's one more evidence that proves that Diddy may have played a sinister role in eliminating his own artist. As you see, at the time, Biggie was the biggest name in the hip-hop world. And even though Diddy was the one releasing Biggie's debut album, many people are convinced that Biggie was the reason why Diddy's label became so successful, and many artists were lining up to work with him. And since the Notorious B.I.G. had no intention to pass away at 24, he left no will, which gave Diddy the chance to profit on his artist's legacy for years.
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive.
And it seems like it's not too hard to connect all dots in the story and see who benefited on Biggie's untimely passing. Now, the main question that fans keep asking is whether Diddy will be officially punished and incarcerated for his involvement in this crime, because he's been enjoying the fruits of Biggie's legacy for way too long. As one person commented, "Yes, Mrs. Wallace, you are correct. You've been saying it from the beginning when you asked who's benefiting from my son's demise." And another user added, "Only one who became famous and rich off Biggie's demise was Puff, nobody else." Well, looks like it's time for Puffy to pay for his crimes, because not only Biggie's mom, but the whole world is thirsty for answers to this mystery. And what do you think about this, guys? Will Valletta finally get her closure after almost 3 decades? And is Diddy really to blame in Biggie's tragic demise? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to know what you're thinking. In the meantime, check my other videos about the sinister side of the industry. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I promise to be back very soon.